Hi there. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through this new tool that I have created, a Google Sheets template, in order to segregate different product categories by conversion rate, ROAS, and AOV. So these are three important metrics that I've chosen just for classification purposes. The idea here is to understand how each of these categories is doing in terms of these metrics compared to the overall averages. So what I mean is essentially we're going to calculate something called the deviations from the mean. Okay, so for each of these metrics. So what it's going to do is, when you have multiple SKUs, a very large inventory, many categories, what you really need to understand is how each of these categories is doing with respect to across category averages for the important metrics. So that's essentially what this sheet or template is going to do. Now, if you try to do it manually, it's going to take quite a while. So the very objective of doing this is to create this automation. So this automation basically works because of an app script that's going on in the back end. And you can see that there's a custom menu bar item here. If I click on this, it's going to do its work. So this is how the output looks like. You're going to get a summary, and the summary is essentially going to give you all the categories here, and then it's going to take the average conversion rate for each of these categories. So for instance, it's going to take the average conversion rate of all of the category ones here. It's going to take then the conversion rate deviation. So what that means is across all the categories, what is the average? And then the difference between the average for this specific category and the across category average for this metric, right? So if suppose X is the average for average conversion rate across all the categories, and Y is the average CVR for that particular category, then X minus Y, essentially that's the CVR deviation. The same thing is done for ROAS and AOV as well. So you understand how useful this is because now you know where to focus your budgets more on, right? You can take those kinds of decisions regarding budget allocations, where to focus more on, which categories are doing better, which are not. And accordingly, you can take those decisions with regard to budgets and not just budgets. If you have split your campaigns, for instance, whether on Google or Meta, and you are using cost caps on Meta or you're using TROAS, you know what kind of cost caps and TROAS to set. Of course, that also depends on some other things like margins, but performance can also be an important factor, right? So category-wise performance is very crucial, and you know that if you also have the margin data and you have this kind of historical data and also some other data like revenue. So together with that information, you can collect this information and take those kinds of decisions. And to make things easier for you, and I think this is the crux of what has been done here is basically the visualization. And the visualization is essentially a very clever one because it takes it's not just a normal bar chart because it's kind of giving you the deviations from a particular mean. Okay, so the baseline is the actual average conversion rate across categories. So that's basically the 0%. And then for each category, you can see how much for that specific category it is deviating from the for the across the or for the account average for that metric or for across categories. So it's basically the same thing that's being done here in this table, but it's much more intuitive visually, as you can see, because it just from a glance you can understand what's really going on. And you can see, for instance, from this chart for category three, the conversion rate is much higher, close to almost 1.5% higher than the average across all categories. So you can immediately see that this category is a higher converting one. Okay, so just a glance is all it takes. Same thing goes for ROAS. You can see which one is also has a much lesser than the average ROAS compared to all other categories, and a similar picture for AOV. So this data, by the way, you can gather from GA4. So this data is not going to be easily available, I understand, from a store backend because you don't get conversion rate data, you don't get ROAS data, of course, and AOV you can get for categories from backends, store backend like say Shopify, but you can get it from GA4. So if you have set up your GA4, you should be able to retrieve most of this data. You can set up conversion rate there and get the data, or you can also manually calculate it. You can just get the number of conversions, you can get the number of clicks, and then you can get calculate the conversion rate. You can also get the data for ROAS. Again, sort of as a derived metric, you will have the revenue from GA4 for every product category. And then you can also calculate the cost, how much you have spent, estimated if it is difficult to entirely arrive at it because you may be running ads through Meta, and Meta, of course, does not give you category-specific information unless you have split it that way, right? So it depends on how your campaign segregation has been. If it is not according to categories, then it's a little difficult, but then you can do some sort of an assessment or an estimation based on the number of sessions that you've got from each of the channels. That you can always, the clicks you can get from GA4, okay, for each of the product categories. So that is one in sort of indirect way. From there, you can estimate the cost based on the average CPMs or the CPCs. If it is Google Ads, it's much easier because you get a product, if you're running shopping campaigns mostly for your e-commerce, then, you will get the product category related data for all of these metrics actually in one go. So that's how you can organize the data. I've not shown that, but I hope this explanation helps. If you need more explanation regarding getting the data, you can let me know in the comments. But this is basically the output, and this has been done using Python code here, as you can see. The objective is to first get the data into it, load the important libraries, and then basically work on the visualization. So this is the original visualization that's been done in Python, but you don't really have to do that. I've done the important part here. The Python code was needed to generate the app script. It actually helped in the process of generating the app script for internal processing. But this sheet completely works on its own as an individual done for you one-click template. Okay, so definitely do give this a shot. And what I'm going to show you quickly is how it really works. It's very simple. I'm just going to delete the outputs once and just going to give you a quick sneak peek into the way it operates. So I've deleted the output. This is how you should dump the data. It is a daily data basically, and for each of the different days, for instance, you'll see that it goes to 90. It's up to 90 days data. For each of the 90 days, you will have to dump the category-wise data for all the categories and for all the metrics that that you can work on. So this one works on these three metrics, and just ensure that the column names are in this format. Then you just have to go to this metrics and charts button. Just click on it, click on process metrics, and then it's going to start running the script. And there you go. It has automatically created the summary. It has given the deviations, and then it has also created your summary metric charts as well, summary or visualization charts. So that's pretty much how it works. And yeah, if you have any more questions, do let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe as always, and see you in the next video.